Good morning, everyone. Let me know again if the audio and video is okay on your end. It seems like it's okay on my end, but that's not always the case. So a few of you just let me know in the comments section that everything's okay. Okay. Seems like it's all good. Hope everyone's good. I'll got a few comments from not the last video, which I uploaded last night. It's a bit fresh, so a lot of the comments are still coming in. But the comments of the videos before that, a few interesting ones. It's funny. I still got a few comments from the last one where I was talking about how can you really love somebody, you know, build a life, get married, have kids if they change. And I still get comments from women saying, well, it doesn't matter if they change. If you still love them, nothing changes. I just don't get it. I really don't. Because you know they wouldn't accept the same thing. If they tell you about a man changing in a massive way, you know, becoming an alcoholic, drugs, he was faithful, now he's not faithful. This kind of, what is it called? Unconditional love? A load of BS. People don't like to admit it. Yeah, I've noticed recently that a lot of comments aren't getting through, guys. You need YouTube's really strict about the kind of language you use. Certain words that you probably wouldn't even have thought aren't allowed. But I don't know. You just need to be. You need to be very PG-13, which is why I'm always trying to be careful. It's stupid. You have to do this song and dance, but that's just the way it is. All right. Remember, if you've got any questions, make sure they stand out with emojis. Make sure you make them stand out on screen so I can see them amongst all the comments. So emojis, super chats, whatever you feel like. But I'll do my best to try and see what a question is and what isn't. Yeah, I don't know if Spetsnaz is going to make another channel. YouTube deleted him. I don't know all the details, but I'll be speaking to him, maybe recording another chat in the next couple of weeks. But I won't sort of say much because I don't know too much. So yeah, YouTube 86'd him. A question from one of the previous videos was from Jesse. He said, is it really worth risking the risk of finding one of the good ones, plus you find out if she's plus you don't find out if she's bad, if she's one of the bad ones, until it's too late to start again. My ex-wife was perfect until she wasn't anymore 10 years later. Things don't get easier as you get older, that's for sure. Yeah, there's no guarantees. I mean, this is the thing. There's no guarantees of anything, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't. I'm not saying you should get married or you shouldn't, but if you're looking for complete safety, you just sit still and you wouldn't do anything. You wouldn't leave your house to go shopping because you could have an accident. You wouldn't even drive because there's a risk of having an accident. So I suppose on one hand, it's if the risk is worth the reward and how safe and eyes open you go about it. For instance, you don't just marry the first girl you get along with, you're sensible about it. You go about it the way a parent was really looking out for you. What advice they'd give you, taking your time, spending a long time, and I mean years before you even think about moving in with a person, let alone marrying or having kids. And if you move in, you don't move into your house, you share a house. You just really evaluate each other's character. You test whether or not you have the kind of virtues that are sort of needed, and you and everyone would hold up high and say, yeah, that person's a good father or mother, or even if you don't get married, you know, that's a good woman or man because of how they conduct themselves, how empathetic they are, things like that. Hope everyone's going well, guys. Yeah, let me see. Joe says, women don't like their reflection in the mirror. What's up with that? They do, literally, like their reflection in the mirror, but not figuratively. The way men tend to, or, you know, philosophically tend to. Mr. Highway, how are you, man? He asks, do you think males are currently undergoing a second enlightenment? I think second, third, fourth. I think we underestimate how widespread the philosophy is spreading. It could actually be historically significant thoughts. Yeah, I mean, there's always, you know, red pill, or, you know, men becoming enlightened. You look throughout history, there's always been guys who are literally monks, the title and the lifestyle that's recognized by the community. Or you've got monks in the loose term where just the individual guy decides to opt out of society, opt out of marriage, opt out of any kind of traditional life that he's supposed to slot into just because it doesn't make sense. Either it's not him, say in the past there was nothing really wrong with it, the incidence of marriage wasn't high, but it just wasn't him. In the same way, someone who's gay doesn't want to get married. It's like, it's just not me. I don't know what it is. I just don't feel like that's me. That's my lifestyle. So there's always been that. But today, the unprecedented thing I think you're mentioning, and I agree to a large extent, is that biologically, like, you know, most guys are heterosexual. And so, like, there's a lot of guys not doing it. They're not naturally just doing it as a part of life. They're stopping themselves. Their prefrontal cortex is going, no, like, I want to, but. And that's really odd in history, I think. Yeah, a lot of guys are coming to this philosophy without even hearing of any acronyms or parts of the Manosphere. They're just sensibly saying, like, no, hang on, no. There are standards and conditions. It's kind of like going for a job. Like, it's starting to become, like, for instance, there's a necessity to a job to have money, but most of the time, even if there wasn't money, men would find something to do. They'd work the land. They'd need to survive. But today, it's like, no, I don't even want a job because I'm not getting paid. At least you got paid. And if everything else was rubbish, at least, you know, I'm getting paid. It's what I'm there for. But if the conditions are awful and you're not getting paid, and somehow the only thing they've got left is to shame you into going to work, you start thinking, okay, the shame doesn't work anymore, because how effective is the shame? What happens if I don't say yes to their shaming? It's like, nothing. It's like a joke that doesn't work anymore. It's like being told a joke over and over again. Shame towards men, I think, these days, is like a joke that's been told too often. Like, you initially, it gives you a reaction of laughing, but after a while, it's like there's no knee-jerk reaction anymore. Ted says, have my channel backed up. I do have a lot of it backed up on BitChute, but yeah, I don't know if I get deleted, what can I do? I'm surprised now. You take a look on YouTube at what's permitted on the left and by women compared to us just saying, if you talk about male things, if you talk about a serious issue, respectfully, you cannot even use the word, because to them it's like, no, the word itself, talking about it seriously, even in context, if I use the word women or something, because it's not a jokey channel, it's not entertainment, I'm not making fun of it, I'm not doing cat videos, I'm not laughing and saying unicorns and rainbows. Because it's not fun and humor, it's not entertainment, because it isn't that, it's treated the word is treated very seriously and treated like it can incite certain bad behavior. But if it's just fun and lighthearted, you can say and show anything. Just search on YouTube. I can't even say the word. SE, and then at the end of that, XY, yoga. So SE, and then XY, yoga. And have a look at some of the videos and how risque and ridiculous they are, and they're allowed to be on YouTube. But anything serious and male, and serious and male is us talking to each other. We're not laughing about this stuff. They want you laughing and joking. Oh, women picking up, dating, life coach, kind of PUA. Oh, fun, fall over. Oh, pick yourself up. Oh, I got my life ruined. Rather than sensible, mature, go about life in a fashion that would sort of become an adult. They want you to be children, laughing at... I can't even say the word, jeez. Laughing at, born with a P. Booty's Void says, hello human, any practical tips to stop romanticizing over exes? Yeah, that's a hard one, especially soon after. As an amateur of classic arts and medieval chivalry, do I need a new brain? I lost gallons of self-respect over that. Yeah, it's hard when your world gets shattered. When you believe it's one thing, and she says and does everything that sort of reflects, you think, oh, I found my one. And then it just kind of shatters, like throwing a vase on the ground or vase on the ground. Patrick says, what kind of work do you do without doxing yourself? Graphic design. Reality check required. What are a few core values men should have when online dating to best hold on to self-respect, like avoiding hookups, strongly filtering women? Exactly those two things. Avoid hookups and filter women strongly. Don't avoid the red flags, because a lot of times guys will. Most times guys will. I think, it's nothing. That's not a big deal. Let me not judge too harshly. But if you notice it, in a light-hearted manner, keep it light, but ask the question that the red flag is making kind of pop up. Clarify it with a smile on your face. Just so you know exactly where she stands on certain things. You'll be surprised. Because especially if you go, well, I don't even know if this is going to be serious. This might be a hookup, so I won't really care. But then the hookup could turn into something that stays with you for the rest of your life. In many ways, think about it. Would humans' wedding band be made of gold, silver, or Viking steel? Wouldn't be made of anything. I wouldn't have a wedding band. Some of your questions, guys, like if they're ridiculous, I'm not going to read them out. Guys, you don't need to repeat the same question every 5 lines. Remember, highlight your question, and if it's a stupid question, I'm not going to repeat it. I'm not going to... Make sure you highlight your questions, guys, with emojis, make them stand out. Let's see another comment from a few videos ago. Prince Revolver says, I don't think women are incapable of seeing things from a man's perspective. It's more of a matter of why should they? When has there ever been a point in time when the entire world, let alone women, were taught to take a step back and try to understand men? Men, on the other hand, are raised to sympathize with women regardless of how asinine the situation is. This is true. Why should they? From birth, they have value. They're a woman. They don't have to become anything. From the young age, they're protected and they're treated with velvet gloves more than a boy is. They're told they're wonderful, especially in today's society. They're told they can do no wrong. There's never any excuse to do anything negative towards her. She can do anything she wants, which is untrue. No one can do anything they want. You can only do whatever you have. You have the drive. You're free to do anything you can try to do, but you're not going to achieve everything. But basically, they're told that unicorns and rainbows and fairies exist, and that they're wonderful. And that false self-esteem, that they can be goddesses and princesses no matter what, but just sitting on their backside, and then getting frustrated why the world isn't handed to them because they are so wonderful, that cognitive dissonance. Just going through some of the other questions. Davo says, why should I have to put a woman up on a pedestal to validate the relationship? Shouldn't it be equal partnership? Look, naturally, as human animals, it's pretty natural for the guy to sort of take the first step, to chase, to sort of act. But there's such a massive imbalance now, and you get nothing. You get very little self-respect. Now it's like, just think about it. Like, men are so quiet and accepting of anything. It's almost as though, as a man, as long as I can please just be in this couple situation with you, if I can be in this photo, in this picture with you, as a guy, as a couple, I'm fine. I won't say anything. I won't do anything. Just allow me to stay. It's a lot. It's like a begging to be in a club. And you'll say anything. You'll be quiet. You'll dress a certain way. You'll talk a certain way. You'll believe in anything. It's like begging to be in a sect because that's the only place where there's food or sustenance or something. I don't know. I mean, I'm not denying the large biological factor in it, but I think things are so bad, and because we do have a prefrontal, we do have a brain, we can recognize when something is just so stupid. We can relax and go on autopilot as human beings, but when it's so stupid, it becomes ridiculous. Like when there's virtually nothing there that a man either wants or is respected for, or just acknowledged as a human being. Look, you don't even have to respect a man in terms of putting him up on a pedestal if he's done nothing. to sort of be worthy of respect. But at least if you're going to have a base level of human respect for a person, but a man is always somehow unworthy, he's never fully respected, because if you do, it's like letting a dog off a leash, so you have to keep him down. It's just a really awful way to go about things, especially at the same time. If the world and women are complaining about men not doing enough, where are all the men, and so forth, well, you can't keep kicking a dog and expecting it to love you. Armored Coast, as an invention, is the spork clever or silly? Is it really an invention, or is it a melding of two inventions? Sorry, my voice. I just woke up a little while ago. Joe says, you'll always see warning signs if you look hard enough. Run. Not necessarily true. Look hard enough at the start, not sort of not in the way that people who believe in a certain thing in a religious fashion, they almost look for problems, and if you look hard enough, you're going to find cracks everywhere. But find objectively big cracks, red flags. If she doesn't like everything you like she likes romantic movies and you don't give a rat's about it, who cares? If she likes typical female things, you like typical guy things, or I don't know, she likes salt and vinegar chips and you like barbecue flavor. It doesn't matter. But if, as I mentioned in the last video, your values are very, very different, they're like two opposing religions, they're two opposing lifestyles, she's got anger issues, and you're the opposite. You're a calm person. She's gregarious and loves going out all the time and hates staying at home, but you're a homebody. Those are big dividing factors. Those are the things you should really pay attention to. But if you look hard enough, if you're overly pessimistic, then you're going to find cracks. And sometimes you can sort of be overly cautious. She's not going to be perfect, and neither are you, but then it guarantees that you're always going to be on your own. Ice Nose, thank you for the donation. He says, hi, well, let's hope YouTube doesn't put any more wedding band commercials on your content ever again. It's not artificial intelligence, it's real stupidity. Yeah, I know. Some things, it's the artificial intelligence, it's getting really stupid. It's not intelligent at all. They're banning, look, it's easy just to say, like, you know, any YouTube creator that's a male and he's not just fooling around making entertaining, lighthearted content. If he uses any kind of words, we don't care what context they're in. If he says the word women, that's suspicious and it's grounds for cancellation. Depending if it's kind of not entertaining, not lighthearted, not positive, not making women smile. But if it's kind of going, women, it's like, no, we don't want that. We want happy, smiling people. Women are great, supposedly. All the time. Women can never be as bad as men. Or worse. Geared said, my self-esteem wasn't ruined by the fact that my ex cheated and left me after 5 years, but instead by how far she moved on. Destroyed me seeing her after a month with a new guy. Yeah, that's really kind of hard for a guy that I don't think a lot of women appreciate, because I think we're rocks, because if we cry or show I'm not saying that you need to, again, it's that cliche, but because you're trained to be tough, and there's good things about being tough, that, yeah, they won't care anyway, so she can move on. Whereas basic human decency, or how would you feel if it happened to you, they probably think, well, I have feelings. Guys don't have feelings. I think I've heard it a few times. And I remember seeing it on one of Monday's old videos. I've heard it before where women will tell me, oh, it wasn't until I was in my late teens or early 20s that I really started to realize, oh, men have feelings too. The cliche is men are tough and we get off on being tough and we play sport and we love all these tough things. And so we don't have these magical emotional things that women supposedly have. We do have emotions in other ways, but we suppress it. We're proud of not showing it. So it's it's amazing how women kind of think, well, I want to. There's no mourning period, and guys don't feel anything anyway. It's not that they should do it for us, but it kind of shows you. I mean, as a man on your own, I know for myself, after I've been in a proper relationship for years, it takes me at least a year to want to start dating again properly. Not just kind of hooking up or anything, but just really wanting to meet another person. Minimum a year. But it's happened to me a couple of times where I see her on the arm of her boyfriend in a committed relationship a couple months later. Months, not years, months, only a few months later. That kind of, because afterwards, there's this kind of thing saying, oh, I feel sad about it. There's this respectful mourning period saying like, oh, I wanted her back, now it's fading away. You know, you feel a bit bitter or sour, but you don't imagine that while you're sitting there still months later feeling bad about it, she was weeks later dating, and then a couple of months later, she's in a committed relationship. Guys kind of get their lives, their perceptions of the fantasy shattered. That's what happens. Because we're taught to believe in the fantasy, so it works. So men and women get together, and then nature wants us to kind of make babies. And then somewhere around that period, if it doesn't happen and you go out with people long enough, you kind of start to see human nature and you start to see the difference between men and women's nature. Guys, stop asking questions. I don't know if you guys are asking questions that are intentionally going to get this video flagged and deleted. You're asking kind of questions about sort of stuff that's going to get me flagged and banned. Have a bit of brains. Or ask the questions where you're not saying those words that are obvious that the algorithm's going to actually notice them. Put a space between the words. Replace some of the letters with something else. Because basically now, some of the comments I've had, this video is going to get flagged or banned, or it might not even be uploaded. Have I ever read The Rational Male by Rollo Tomassi? No. I've read excerpts and I've heard excerpts of it. A lot of it seems like it's pretty good and sensible stuff. Mr. Highway, thank you for the donation, man. He asks, most men find this content organically. It's not some scholar's pontification. Yeah, the girl strong philosophy is learnt through indoctrination in college. Yeah, the philosophy is actually part of like a life curriculum for women. It's part of the advertising. It's part of just the memes and the language and the dialogue out there. This is old, dusty books that men have to go searching for when they're suffocating and drowning. This is oxygen that men need to find to stop them drowning. It's very different. Women's one is like donuts that are thrown at them. Men is like, they're drowning and they need to find nutrition lest they die. Chris asks, I'm 25 and thinking of going MGTOW for the next 5 years to build my career and establish myself. Would you recommend this? See, this is the thing. I like the way people see MGTOW. I'm going to go MGTOW and build my career. See, this is why I don't use the acronym anymore. There's so many different forms of the way they view it. It's like MGTOW is avoid women, build a business. I mean, if that's something you want to do, but I don't know what MGTOW is anymore. But certainly, if you want to avoid certain things and there's other things in your life that you really are passionate for, like you do want to make money, your career, you don't want to mess around with women anymore because you have, and it's just gotten you nowhere, and you'd rather do other things, women aren't as appealing, fine. Yeah, I don't know what MGTOW is anymore, really. Armored Ghost. Is chicks slang for women because chicks requires a lot of care and attention? Yeah, it's probably showing my age. Chicks is slang for women. If I use broads, that's going to be even more obscure. I think that's even an older slang. When are the marriage laws going to change? When hell freezes over? I don't know. Post-apocalyptically? I don't know. MGTOW for life. Isn't it sad that today men can't have a long-term relationship, including marriage, like my parents have? Yeah, this is the thing. I had a good upbringing, great relationship with my family, still do. And it's just kind of sad. It's very hard to recreate it. New Game Plus. Recently heard from a mutual friend my ex has come down with a terrible chronic illness. As heartbroken as I find I still care even though I shouldn't. Any experience with this? There's nothing wrong with caring. I wish the best for most of my exes. 95% of my exes, I wish them the best. The other 5% I really couldn't care less what happens to them. Sorry, just honest. But most of them, like, yeah, wish them the best. It didn't work out. A couple particularly, I really still, not that I want them back because that was in the past, but I really wish for them happiness, like as much as possible. They were really good people. Just didn't work out for us. So there's nothing wrong with being a good person. That's actually a positive thing. Gonzalez, would you say in a male-female romantic relationship, the male would be more often need to gravitate towards playing the role of a parent authority figure if order wants to be maintained? Yes. Women are especially told that they can do no wrong. They're always great. They're princesses. It's very childlike. And so by default, the only way they're going to be satisfied or happy in that moment is if you act like a father figure that says yes to everything and excuses his little princess, and she has you wrapped around her finger. It's basically today. Women aren't told to mature. They're encouraged to be children, but act powerful and independent. So it's like a girl playing dress-ups and dollhouse as an adult. And if you want to have a relationship, you have to, I think it's mostly with the average woman today, the modern woman, the independent one, modern career-driven, non-traditional woman. She's more or less a child in adult clothing, playing dress-ups as Beyonce. Scott says, what are your thoughts on open relationships? I think they're a train wreck. They sound to the guy like fun because he thinks he can have variety. It's just a mess. And it does work for a while, you're just wasting a lot of time and energy thinking about the juggling that's going on and the plates that are spinning, and all your life is about maintaining relationships in the plural. Maintaining relationship in the singular is sometimes difficult enough, and if it's good, it's satisfying. It's enough. It's more than enough. It's a solid thing in your life, rather than multiple relationships that are always becoming undone and they're always got the potential of falling apart. It's a very people have multiple relationships and like jump from partner to partner. I kind of see it in the times where I've sort of just casually been dating. It's not a stable life. You're spending too much time worried about that and having fun out there, and your life's kind of a bit insecure. It's not stable and grounded and similar. When you have a life of routine, with or without a woman, I think it's much, much better. Think about any lifestyle or relationship. Is it grounded and singular? And when you get up, it's predictable. And that makes your life calm. If it's not predictable, routine-based, it's not kind of comfortable and secure. Yeah, it's fun like a roller coaster, but if you're living on a roller coaster all the time, it's like, I don't know, drinking cordial or having sugar non-stop. You know, the way your life is affected. Short-term good, but long-term awful. Krista, how do you deal with the frustration when putting words on a lot of the things you are talking about to people who don't understand? If I understand they don't get it, I try. Most of the time, if I'm fairly okay with quickly judging the person's lexicon, level of interests, knowledge, ability to sort of keep going deeper into a conversation. But if I kind of notice they're not getting it, I try and lower my how sophisticated the language is to keep a person on the subject if I can see they're interested. Or if they're not, like, you just don't talk about it anymore. Like, I don't force these kind of philosophical discussions onto people that aren't interested. There's no point. I'm talking to myself then. If someone's interested, you talk. But then if you do have some intelligence and tact and ability to listen to people, you can listen and see when they don't understand you, or they're not interested, or it's uncomfortable for them. You just don't talk to them. I'd rather talk about these subjects to people that are interested. So it's practice too. Another comment under one of the videos. Brad said, Pavlov's experiments prove that there needed to be a reward to train his dogs to respond to the sound of a bell. After being trained, he could just ring the bell to have the dogs salivate. Females are giving men less and less, and we're not responding to the bells, and they wonder why not. True, and we're not salivating much anymore. There needs to be a reward. There's not even the self-respect of a human being sometimes. You just see when women talk about men, it's like rolling their eyes on national TV. We're talked about like we're children, literally laughed at like we're children, and at the same time, why can't we step up to the plate and be responsible? If you see us and want to see us as children, and you love casting yourself as a child, yourself as a little girl wanting to be taken care of by daddy. Again, my last video, look in the mirror, both men and women, but especially today, women. Women really need to look in the figurative mirror, not the literal one, which is about the only one they like looking into. Men are being too submissive. Yep, I agree. But not in the sense where you have to act like and posture like an alpha bro, like a lion. As in, don't put yourself first, have some self-respect as a man, as a human being, and then deal with people respectfully and cooperatively from that standpoint. But don't put yourself second ever, and especially don't lower your standards below the person you're dealing with. In terms of maturity and everything, in fact. Don't lower your standards below the person you're dealing with. It's different with children. You're mentally and physically in all ways, you're meant to look after children, even as a stranger. You know, they're they're largely innocent compared to adults. But yeah, I know not all kids, but self-respect, guys. Self-respect thinking. Self-respect thinking. That's the kind of thing that I'd like guys to think about more, and things will start to fall into place. So it's not necessarily about any subjects per se, but whereas that is important, like the subjects you talk about, what you massage through the cognitive ability to sort of massage topics and get them right in your head. So then when you confront women or jobs or situations, it's like, you know how to exercise that muscles. You know what to say. You know how to act, you know how to speak. But self-respect, fairness, those things, like what it is to be a cooperative, fair human being, how to get out of life, what's good. And it starts with you, how you think, how you self-respect, and then how you deal with similar people that believe in those values too. HB says, I am not a dog human. Fair enough. That's good. That's a good sign of self-respect. I just use it as a figurative thing. As in, there is parts of men's nature. I mentioned in my last video about men being similar to dogs in certain ways that you could sort of, in analogy, see similarities in terms of, for instance, why do men love dogs? Because there's certain parts of their loyalty and the bond. Like, if you get a puppy and you bond with it and you train it and it's with you day in and day out for the first year or so, the dog won't change. Your bond and your love with that dog will be the same until the dog passes away. And I see that as a similar thing in a lot of ways when you're in the dating phase of a relationship, when you're falling in love. The falling in love, the bond, the security, the routine that doesn't change is that dating period, in the same way that the puppy phase, in the first year or so with the dog and you bond and you know each other in shorthand back to front, and it realizes that you're not going to change, the routines aren't going to change, and the dog isn't going to change. That's the degree to which I sort of use the analogy. Again, I'm not literally putting men down as dogs, but there is something to be learned by why men love dogs so much and what is it about their character that we really respect, and how it reflects on us too. Some good stuff there. Reality check required. How is it best to be honest with oneself and admit you know will repeat the same blue pill idiocy time after time with women so it won't crack our egos? Be aware with it and don't lie to yourself. Try and, like, when you see the red flags, don't ignore them. Talk to yourself and don't ignore the red flags. If you can't help but being addicted, maybe you just need to, like, what am I going to tell someone who's addicted and can't help taking their drug? As long as you're more aware than you were before, where before you ignored it or made up excuses. Don't make up excuses. Then after a few times when you fall over and you're embarrassed, hopefully you'll be interested enough in your own self and you'll have enough self-respect to do it less and less and less. Or maybe if the trauma of the mistakes you've had, one being blue pill to the extreme one too many times, will make you think, like, enough of this. I'm never going to be embarrassed like this ever again. I'm never going to go through this pain ever again. Hopefully it's not pain that it's not a kind of pain that you can't come back from, like accidentally getting some moron pregnant. Yeah, why are people getting wedding-related photos on my... I suppose because I talk about relationships. I talked about, I mentioned the word love in my last video or two. See, this is the thing, artificial intelligence is BS. It's not intelligent. It just looks at one word and says, oh, love. Let's put wedding ring ads on his videos. The context of what you say doesn't matter to that. That's how stupid it is. That's how lazy gynocentrism is. Bo, thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. Girl I dated since 2 weeks always rolls her eyes when I mention saving money or when I am stingy. Should I dump her? She also told me she has no money. Oh. Red flag. Yeah, that's a girl who is not responsible at all and wants you to join in on that. And then when it all falls apart, that doesn't look like a response. That's not someone you want to stay with. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I don't want to tell anyone what to do. But just, you know what the answer is. You're asking me. You're almost asking me to validate what you already know. She rolls her eyes when you're trying to save money and calling you stingy when you won't spend the way she wants you to spend, but she has no money. Let her find another father figure to pay for all her mistakes and her overdrawn credit cards. I would say, think of yourself, man. You know what the answer is. Let me put it this way. If that was me, that would be 1 date and not 2. Not a girl I go out on multiple dates with. Think of yourself, man. The fact that you're asking the question, you're here. I think you're asking me to confirm what you already know. So I would trust your instinct. Anime Kings, thank you for the donation. He says, human, hope all is well. Thanks for your words of wisdom. Thank you for the donation and thanks for supporting the channel. Yeah, hit the thumbs and hit the subscribe, guys. I've noticed in the last few weeks, YouTube, in terms of censorship, like you can't even say certain words. They won't allow your comments in the comment section. It's not my fault. If certain... that's why I'm really careful with the language I use in the videos while still being able to talk about what I want to talk about. It's because they will throttle me. You saw with Spetsnaz, they're just deleting channels that aren't gynocentrically entertainment based, and they don't like this kind of content. It doesn't sell toothpaste. So the more you guys can help hitting the subscribe or supporting the channel any way you can, I appreciate it. Otherwise, I'll disappear. See, another comment from the previous videos was Cledo said, if you marry a hot snake, all that you have left sometime afterwards is a snake. Yep. Hotness fades. Beauty remains, as I was talking about in that video. Chaos for You 728 says, feelings are subjective, meaning they can be wrong. Yep. Usually are wrong. Subjectively is just personal. So it's even that subjective meaning is open to interpretation. There is no right or wrong. EOS Log says, human, I'm starting to see gynocentrism as men's fault. Our predisposition to pander to a woman's whims has resulted in the feminization of the West. OnlyFans requires subscribers, right? Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of fault for men just succumbing to their urges. Put it this way, their society, through our language, and even just being able to have spaces and guys being able to use language without being censored, without their channels and conversations being censored, without losing your job because you say certain words or disagree with women. You could lose your job because you simply say no to women. Think about it. So if men are being reprimanded, punished, fined, losing their livelihood by simply not being allowed to communicate honestly as men. You're going to get women with no brakes on, exaggerating, acting like children. There are no limits. And you think about the discrepancy of those two things, is that your primal urges to just want to be with a woman, or your species, you know, your biology wanting to reproduce. These are the dynamics. Entitled childish princesses and boys or men that can't speak. We're invisible unless we walk and quack like a duck the way gynocentrism wants you to. It's a really odd place today. You can't even talk maturely. You can't talk as a man. So it is our fault, but it's more... I think it was the top men that wanted to make money and didn't care how many men they stepped all over, and they didn't care about principles and morals. Those people in charge of marketing and whatever, pandering to women because they thought, oh, we can exploit women too. You know, because you got to realize that too. Get women into the workforce. Yeah, men kind of wanted to exploit women, but women take the bait. In the same way, men will want to sleep with women, but it's up to a woman not to take the bait. They handed all this stuff to women. Women took the bait. But when I see this, is the thing, I can acknowledge there is a lot of men's fault in allowing it to get this far. But when you talk to women in gynocentrism, it's kind of like, see, it's all your fault. So again, we can't be blamed for everything. Yeah, it's more of a broad conversation. Do you blame the idiot who makes drugs, or do you try and fix society by fixing the drug addict themselves? It's a conversation where you can't exclude one or the other. But if you're not going to put the brakes on women and say it's all men's fault while today men don't have any power, that's a bit avoidant. That's a bit kind of like, I want my cake and eat it too. I want to continue to eat donuts, but I'm going to blame the donut manufacturer. So yeah, technically, the donut manufacturer is to blame. But if society's fat and obese, you got to look at the individuals too. Because at the end of the day, don't we want, as thinking men, mature, responsible, high-minded, intelligent people, not children that we have to kind of help, you know, stay away from donuts. So, again, I'm not going to say, oh, it's men's fault, so the way women act today, you're all great. Us men, we're really got to be hard on each other and fix things. We need to be hard on each other individually, but you don't ignore who the spoiled rich brats are, who aren't forced. I mean, I'm trying to be a mature individual man who's respectfully taking care of his own life and how I conduct myself with other people. I respect myself and I respect other people to the degree that they can act like me. But I'm not going to give spoiled rich brats a pass while I'm trying to be a good citizen and a good person, if you know what I mean. Anyway, I'll keep going down the questions. Yeah, there are a lot of trolls on the comments today, and you can never tell who it is. You know, they pass themselves off as guys in the Manosphere when they're not, as ways to sort of throw mud on people's channels or parts of the Manosphere. To game human, what exactly is female nature? I am new to this. That's a broad question. Watch a few videos. It's basically like, it kind of talks about broadly a lot of aspects of the way women respond and act, their reflexes, what they're naturally like compared to how men are naturally like, and a lot of times how we're opposite. For instance, the way we see love. That's a big one that I talk about a fair bit, is women and men use the word, but we look at it differently. If you were able to put yourself in a woman's brain and be able to feel and see how she sees and feels love, it's very, very, very different than if she were to be put in your head and be able to feel and see how you see love. Some of these questions, guys, I can't answer quickly. Like Christopher, I appreciate the question. He says, what would be a 10-point list to get over a breakup to stop chasing women? It's not a 10-point list. It's a process of learning, focusing on yourself. It is a process. It's not a pill. See, that's the misnomer about, you know, all these different colored pills, red pills and so forth. It's like you don't take it and you're fine. You're not unplugged and you're fine. It's like fitness. If you're unfit, it takes a long time to get fit, and there's a maintenance of staying fit in all aspects: your diet, your physical, how, like, physically and mentally, how you conduct yourself and how you learn and how you stay sharp without being neurotic about things. Whoa, big jump. Sorry, guys. Might have missed a few of the comments. Sorry. I apologize for anyone I might have missed now. It's jumped a fair bit. We've got like nearly 450 concurrent viewers at the moment. I'll go right to the top of the comments at the moment. Genesis says, I enjoy your chats with other content creators. Do you think you'll do another one of those anytime soon? Yeah, I'll probably do another one with Spetsnaz. It'll be coming up in a couple of weeks. I was talking to him about what happened with his channel very briefly. Briefly, I mean, like, I know nothing, but we were going to have a chat anyway. So that'll come up, hopefully. They just take a lot of time to... They're fun to do. I love doing them. They just take a lot of time to process and edit. And now with censorship, I have to sort of be even more careful and go through the whole multi-hour conversation and make sure I bleep out any words that could be misconstrued. It's really stupid. I wish it wasn't the way, but... Booties Void says, who are your favorite Western philosophers? What do you think about Eastern philosophy compared to Western philosophy? I personally find the latter more suited to males. Any thoughts? Yeah, and even Western philosophers that have, because a lot of Western ones have taken things from Eastern philosophy, like I keep forgetting his name, the skinny hippie guy from England last century who went to the East and came back. Alan Watts? Yeah, him. He's fairly good. He's really good. But a lot of writers, Western, not so much that they're philosophers, but thinkers and writers. The Stoics. Yeah, those people. Berserker 100, what is the one thing that triggers lust and attraction to women in women from men, since most women have hybristophilia? In my opinion, if men are attracted to looks, what are women attracted to most in men? Power, success, status, money. Mike Garcia, can a guy and a girl really be just friends? I always have a thing for my friends. S-E-X-U-L-E. Yeah, men always have that. Like, if it's there and objectively they are pretty, there's always that, yeah, I'll do it if the opportunity's there. So there is kind of that where I think it's not really that way in women, or not so much. But you can be friends. I think men and women can be friends, but I think it's also up to the guy to be cognizant enough of himself to go, she's pretty, I like her as a person, but who she is, her morals and values, like her lifestyle, there's no way a relationship could actually last. A lot of times, all it could be was like a one and done thing, and then you wouldn't be around that person anymore. You'd lose a friendship. So a guy can kind of really, yeah, can have SCX with someone pretty easily, but yeah, nature wants you to do it. It's up to you if there's anything there worth retaining, because doing that, unless you're going to get into a relationship and raise kids, it usually doesn't work. It doesn't last. Armored Ghost, what do you feel is missing from ancient Greek or Roman philosophy? Not too much. I suppose some of the stuff that's new in terms of technology today with the internet and social media. Some of that stuff which is being talked about can be added. But a lot of the ancient Stoic and Greek or Roman philosophy is fairly timeless. That's why a lot of guys still go to it today. It's about human nature, and that's not going to change. We're just placing ourselves in an environment and also trying to fictionalize an environment where, oh, this could work on paper. It's like, it doesn't work. You're negating human nature. Oh no, we can be better than our human nature. Well, in a gynocentric world, I don't think so. Women can barely stay on a diet. There's a lot of people that know what the right thing is and want to do the right thing, but we're just very mentally lazy. We love thinking we can do it tomorrow. Tomorrow comes and we don't do it. We love thinking the grass is greener tomorrow. People leave relationships and the grass isn't greener. So, yeah, we're not taking into account human nature. That's the downfall of people's aspirations today, especially on the left. Yeah, but it could be like this. Yeah, given the way people are, can you slow down and take, small steps and not push all of society that way? And say, well, it was a good idea. Yeah. Good ideas need to be tested safely. A says, a human appreciate the content. I'm 21 and feel like I've somewhat unplugged over the lockdown period. I've been thinking a lot. Is there any going back? I'm not sure. Love from the UK. Not generally. Once something's seen, it can't be unseen. Yeah, Booty says, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you feel like it, guys, yeah, do me a favor. Yeah, Dynamite Rabbit says, open relationships are just a way for her to make sure that she's physically compatible with her beta orbiters. Yeah, it keeps her options open. She loves the feeling of a lot of branches to Monkey Branch too. Yeah, Mr. Highway says, likes are free. Just hit the like button, guys. That'll help me out. Alice in Silverland, my boyfriend is in the chat and he's trying to ask Human a question because we're trying to work through something, but I think he might have worded things badly for the algorithm. Yeah, if you use certain, words that are gonna, I can't even use the word trig, because that gets deleted. Yeah, you just need to word your questions creatively so I know what you mean. It's really stupid. I wish I could just kind of talk more freely. The intangible cog. Human, do you believe it's possible to contract PTSD from or after a prolonged relationship with a narcissist? You're certainly affected by it. You're certainly affected by it. I don't know if it's as clear cut as that, but you're certainly affected by it. Jonathan, would love to see you debate Jordan Peterson. He's way above my pay grade. I'm fairly pedestrian compared to him. He would be interesting to talk to, though. Yeah, Spec Ops says mental illness to a woman is a get out of jail free card. Cop out, dump her, bro. There are better, but few. Yeah, I noticed it in the media. I joke whenever with my family we're watching, like, particularly like some woman, she's done some atrocious act, and you notice a lot of it on the news. Women are committing more and more violent crimes, and the first thing we always say is like, I bet you she uses the insanity plea, mental illness. Black Magic 1084 says, I just have relationship fatigue. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I have that too, man. Join the club. My sister asked me the other night when I mentioned I had a woman sort of, you know, a message pop up from a dating site I was still on from a while ago. And she said, I didn't think you were that interested. I go, I'm not. It's just kind of like, I don't pursue anymore. It's like, if it pops up, it pops up. But you get relationship fatigue. You don't care anymore. I should probably get myself off them so I don't get messages anymore. Southern Soul, Dynamite Rabbit, I'm a woman and a great fan of human. I'm a writer and I always try to encourage women to embrace kindness, purity and femininity. I think men have been treated horrid. Well, the more women like you, and I always say, speak openly. There's a lot of women you talk to and they'll say privately, one-on-one, yeah, it's awful. But then when they describe in public, they hear women talking badly, openly about men and acting childish. And they don't say anything, they stay quiet and they think it's awful. The point is to say something, because women will speak up today openly if there's something against women, rightly so. If women are being disparaged or talked down to or being treated like dirt, they'll speak up. But if your future as women with men is being disparaged, you're making fun of it. It's such short-sightedness. So a mature woman, like a mother to daughters, should be able to speak up and say, hey, no, because of A, B, and C. What you're saying is stupid because of the consequences. Grow up. If you stay quiet, this stuff keeps growing. Because men can't say anything. If we say anything, it's just proof of what they were just talking about. So if they're talking about how awful men are and mansplaining, for instance, and you mansplain as a man and say, hang on, that's not fair. See? Mansplaining. It proves what we were saying is right. But if women need to do it, that's the only way it's going to kind of get better. Women can't stay silent anymore. Men don't want to stay silent, but we're being silenced. Women, you guys have free reign to speak up in ways we can't. We're caring less and less because we can't. We'd love to speak, but we lose our jobs, our livelihood. We're taken the wrong way. We say no, simply say no out of self-respect in a civil way, and we're told, no, we're inciting hatred or violence, which I am a lot in my videos. My videos are the most vanilla and milquetoast, and I still get people in the comments saying, I'm inciting hatred. So basically, if I can't speak and object and say, no, I don't agree with your point of view, as respectfully as I can, then basically either women fix their own situation, because we're done. A lot of men are just done. If we can't even act like a responsible human being, an adult, let alone wanting to have relationships, put relationships out of it, just existing as a man. It's like, you know, Fine, I'll have my own life in my own home. You guys deal with your mess. But we're all the good men. You know what? We don't care anymore. You can't pat a dog that keeps biting you. Krista says, women in the workplace are often capable of being adult professionals and take responsibility. Privately, it is often very difficult. It's pretty obvious it is conscious choice. Women like being in charge, like being in charge of their kids. They like having that low-level position of authority within a small company of, say, a marriage or a relationship. In the same way, it's analogous to being a low-level manager in a company. There's not many CEOs that are going to take the weight of the company, of the world, on their shoulders. EC2189, thank you for the donation. He says, enjoy your work. Absurdity behind their ethos and logos of independence involves with being consumerist, parasitic, plastic, and adult infant, sold not only to women but also effeminate mammalian men. Yeah, the marketing they're pushing to us to keep us infantilized, dependent on consumerism, the government, being childlike. Here, you can have your PlayStation, your fast food. We're going to block all serious content on YouTube. We're just going to give you cat videos and entertainment and girls going tee-hee and showing you their cleavage. We're just going to give you all this childlike fun. Everything's going to be from a teenager below. We're going to kind of drive the world with that mindset. Anything adult, we're going to really, really put a rein on it and censor as much and keep it in check. But what we're going to allow is a teenager and below mindset. And they keep you controlled that way. And a lot of us control ourselves. Look at how many people will be, on the comment section acting like morons. Look, that's offensive. You can't say that. You can't generalize. Like, how old are you? And these people are like, women my age telling me it's offensive to generalize. It's like, how are you allowed to hold a license or able to have children with that kind of childish mindset? That fragile. Anyway, don't get me started. That's going to be a name of my channel. Don't get me started. Okay, is there any more comments from the last video? Yeah. Harpo says, I once dated a hot Russian blonde woman named Anastasia who was so boring she should have been named Anesthesia. I thought that was funny. Yeah, G Geared says, I subscribed to Human 3 times in the past year. Interesting. Yeah, make sure you're subscribed and hitting all, because if you're not, I think the way the algorithm works is it unsubscribes you randomly to encourage you to kind of click on my channel and get their click numbers up. And also, if you haven't clicked on my videos, it just gets rid of you and forces you to always be engaged with their with YouTube in that way. You can't just kind of, I'd love to just kind of go, I know I like to watch this guy, I'm subscribed, and I can rely on being informed. If I'm not actively clicking on all their stuff and engaging with YouTube, they kind of go, well, this person's not engaging much. He's just sitting there passively. We're going to make him engage. We're going to force him. So yeah, make sure you're subscribed and give me a thumbs up. Dave, yes, Spetsnaz had his channel deleted. I don't know the details. Celestial Woodway, thank you for the donation. Their comment is, I went to a nightclub and a woman asked me to pay for her rent. We had been making out all night. I thought she was joking. She was serious. I walked. Good for you, man. Yeah, I remember it was a long time ago. This was in my 20s when I started to late 20s, when I was starting to kind of get really annoyed and see the unfairness. I remember I was chatting to a woman and we were getting along, and it was sort of heading towards there. And she was saying, "Oh, you should come back to my place. I've got what was it, a washing machine or a tap or something? Like, I need a big strong man to fix it." And I joked and said, "Yeah, then you can come to my place, and I need some clothes that need washing." And she got pissed off and walked off. I thought, like, what? I thought I was being funny. I thought, like, I just said the same thing. Like, oh, how convenient. You need a big strong man to do work for you. It's like, I need a feminine woman to do work for me. I thought it was attractive. Anyway. Mr. Hypermean. It reminds me of the early days of ancient philosophy. Men communicating in discussion, having to be informed on the streets. Yeah. Men aren't talking philosophically with each other. And if we don't, we're not strong and centered, and then we're less able to go in the world and have a good life for ourselves, with or without women, with or without having families. But the center of life and civilization is a man being intelligent enough and being industrious enough and communicating with each other. If you don't allow it, if you censor the language, if men can't speak, if men's lexicon and thinking and all that kind of stuff, it kind of gets diluted and disappeared. Women aren't going to progress society. They consume society. They consume the products of men. In certain ways, women can work with men, but the vanguard of what's pushing civilization forward, in terms of technology, thinking, both cognitively and physically, it's always been men. And if you not just let it die, but you're killing it, that word probably just got this video flagged. The word flagged got this video flagged, I bet you. Mark Solstafia, are drugs making you a better person or a slave? Not a better person, I don't think. Wombat, we need a moderator to weed out these idiots. Yeah, I'm not sure how to do that. It's funny how YouTube automatically gets rid of certain words from people that aren't sort of being trolls, but then they allow people to troll. It's a weird online world where they want to encourage trolling in a certain way because it gets attention. But then in other ways, it bans certain words completely without even looking at the context. So we're not really communicating with each other. We're just prodding each other. You made me look. You made me feel a certain way. Okay, remember, if you want to ask a question, guys, make them stand out with emojis. And stop arguing in the comment section, guys. If you want to clarify where a person's coming from, ask them. Don't assume and start calling them names. Or I think I can ban you. Yeah, I can. So if I notice you guys trolling, I'll just ban you. So I can remove you from the chat. So just behave yourself. Dave says, Alan Watts died in 1973, and if you listen and watch his shows on YouTube, so much is still relevant today. Yeah, a lot of smart men and smart philosophy, stoicism is timeless when they talk about human beings, because we don't change. Our environment changes, we adjust, but the way we respond is generally the same. A lot of the way we're responding is dysfunctional because it's not... The rules by which we're supposed to engage now isn't kind of made for a harmonious life. Hey Human, this by Super Noise 3. Hey Human, Nietzsche said that women were incapable of friendship. Do you agree or disagree? If he did say that, it's interesting because I look at men generally have lifelong friends. A lot of women, you look in the schoolyard, they backstab. It doesn't look like they value friendship. Either they get along, or certain women who have a nicer temperament get along, but generally women compete a lot with each other and want to tear each other down. So it's anti-friendship. Men like to cooperate. Even in sport, we can kind of compete and shake each other's hands. It takes a lot for a man to not be friendly with a guy or get rid of a friendship. And a lot of times guys who do get rid of friendships, it's got to do with women. But yeah, there's probably something in that. If you look at the way women behave before they're adults, you look in the schoolyard, it's the mentality of women in the schoolyard compared to guys in the schoolyard as like an experiment of sort of kids just acting unconsciously, not sort of being adult enough to sort of organize themselves, but they're just being the way they are. Men naturally get along better and form friendships. And there's got to be a very good reason that we tear each other down, whereas women have this impulse to tear each other down to feel better about themselves. To take from another woman. She'll see her friend with a man and she'll want to take that man, not find a man that's like that. Whereas a man will see his friend or a guy with a really good woman that he wants. He'll say, I want a woman like that. But he won't want to take that woman from him. Spench says, question, how do you see gender dynamics developing over the next couple of generations? I have no idea. It's moving so fast. They're moving the goalposts. You look at what happened in 2020 with the global world change, with the pestilence and everything. I have no idea. Really, I don't. I'm not avoiding the question. I have no idea. Deep Verma, thank you for the donation. He says, are Christian principles obsolete in Western civilization? And if so, what is the answer? Well, I think religion was a great organizing principle for the lazy brain. And today there's a lot of lazy brains saying, oh, we're really smart. We don't believe in religion, but a lot of them need it because they're not adult enough to form their own philosophy. Religion was a philosophy that was ready-made for you in a way to treat people and to curb your worst traits. It's not perfect, but today people are saying, I'm too smart for that. We're evolved. I've got an iPhone. But you're dumber. You look at a lot of people today, they are so much dumber than the most extreme religious person in the past. And I doubt a lot of people would disagree with me. Yeah, you could say, oh, well, they believed in walking on water and they believed in sort of the unicorn aspects of their religion. That obviously, like any sensible person goes, yeah, that's a bit questionable, but the main precepts of the religion, most people would agree with. Their good principles of how to treat people and respect and balance with nature and how to treat people and stuff like that. But yeah, you look at you speak to older people, you look in history, the writing that came out of it, it was just so much more intelligent, even with all the fantasy in there, compared to what we have now. Imagine the past looking at us now with our technology, but looking at the way we act, our mindset. Not much to respect. Very embarrassing. John, caught a live show. What's up, human? How you going, John? Spench, question. How do you see gender dynamics? I've already answered that one. That's what happens when people repeat their questions because my feed jumps. So, apologies. Jay Smith, don't give up hope, human. I'm an optimistic person, but I'm a realist. A lot of people say I'm sort of negative, or I'm encouraging men to be negative. It's like I want men's lives to be happier. Generally, I'm an optimistic person, but I value my life in such a way that I'm not, because I value it, I'm going to point out a cliff that you shouldn't walk all over. Or if there's ways to get down, you don't walk off the cliff, you kind of walk down a steep slope on the side, but you're careful. It's funny, I haven't had to adjust my light that much today. And it's a very bright day. There's not many clouds though. Deep Verma, are you going to answer my question, human? Which question? Put some emojis before and after it. Highlight it. Okay, we've been going for an hour and a half. Let's wrap it up. Let's try and keep it under 2 hours, guys. Boffin, how are you, man? Good to see you chime in. Boffin's one of the few very intelligent guys, so whenever you see his comments in my comment section, have a read, guys. You'll learn a lot. Boffin says, is it true that girls mature before boys, but they stop maturing at about age 16 to 17? This is what I've heard as well. I haven't looked into it in detail, but whenever they do these studies, they kind of go women mature faster than boys. They do at the younger periods, in their teen years. Probably because they have to, because reproductively, especially guys and women, I suppose, get injected with a high dose of, let's get together, make babies, you're young, fertile, all that kind of stuff. But what they fail to do is point out that past late teens and early 20s, men overtake women in maturity. But all they focus on is the teen years. It's like, women are more mature than men. Yeah, the data shows they are. But if all you're going to talk about is that pocket, you're being disingenuous. So that's what I've heard. Yeah. In the same way, I've heard also that in terms of aging, men age better than women, but then past a certain point, like 60s or so to 70s, men just kind of go downhill and women overtake them. So women age better than men if you make it past 60 and 70 in terms of alertness and cognition. You look at a 70 to 80-year-old man compared to a 70 to 80-year-old woman, she seems kind of more alert. The color of her eyes are clearer, whereas a man's kind of frail and everything. It has to do also with kind of the work he's done in his life. But I think just genetically, men at that stage. So there's different things in life that have to do with biology. Mr. Negative, yeah, I have to be advertising friendly. This is the hard thing. They look at channels that where men are discussing intelligence and ideas. The people that want to watch intelligent videos are intelligent enough not to shop in excess. I don't need to buy 2 cars. I don't need to buy 10 pairs of jeans. So they can't sell advertising on channels like the ones we enjoy. You can sell advertising on more female-based channels, entertainment-based ones, frivolous ones, mindless ones, where you can buy on emotion, not buy by passing it through intellect and reason first. So Alan, why is it that men can't have a discussion about women without being seen as sexist or a boys' club? A lot of the reasons I just discussed previously and earlier in the stream. Silence the male voice, because the female voice in society encourages more consumerism, more mistakes, breaking up a family, driving your life by the whims of your emotion. And then once because it's a childish way of living, because you keep making mistakes, you have to keep picking yourself up from zero. So that means more antidepressants, more medication, more government assistance, growing the government. You just look at, there's so much benefits for keeping us as children and not being responsible. That's why they want women to pull the strings of society, because they have an impulse to do that. Whereas a man, to become a man, he needs to mature. His life gets better when he matures. So yeah, women lubricate society, financially especially, much more than men do. Men are more pragmatic and savers, and because, as I said, there's nothing beyond a man. I have to be responsible. I have to save my money. No, they want me to spend my money. Who does that? Women more than men, much more. I buy a pair of shoes this week. I don't have an impulse to buy another pair of shoes next week if I don't need to. Mr. Highway, thank you for the donation. He says, I need a whoa, big jump coffee mug. Yeah, I say that a lot. Well, it's a good problem to have. Again, 440 viewers at the moment, forcing my stream to jump so much. And I'm thankful that you guys have chimed in and are keeping some sort of discussion going. And this is the only way guys are going to stay sharp and have any kind of real self-respect, is to talk to other men where we encourage thinking and speaking well. So then when you go out into the world, you're less likely to be taken advantage of, because you've got the language and the thinking. You can stand up for yourself. You can be a man you're proud of, and then other men can learn from you and go, I want to speak and think a bit like him in his direction. That's something to aim for. Because no guy likes being pulled around by women in nature, especially in today's environment where everything's geared towards women. Being pulled around by nature and your impulses, it's not even a probability, it's almost a certainty. A man's life is going to crash into a wall. So if you don't want your life to crash into a wall, these discussions need to sort of happen only so you can self-actualize in a way that you can kind of sharpen yourself. Periscopanes, how would you persuade a woman to offer her opinion or answer from the detached, abstract, and not from her solipsism? I'm dating this woman, and so far we enjoy deep and meaningful discussions. It's the person's willingness to. Some people have scars or trauma where they really have a hard time. There's so much fear that their instinct is always to be defensive, and they can't. Everything is literal because they're always afraid. So there's a lot of individual sort of in that. So it's hard. Basically, it's the person's own willingness to be open. I won't say it. I won't say, whoa, big jump, because that's what happened. Thomas Knock, do I marry or buy a dirt bike? The fact that you asked the question, I'm pretty safe in saying buy the dirt bike. You wouldn't be asking me if the answer wasn't dirt bike. Sam says, is there any real reason to be friends with an ex-girlfriend? I don't think so, unless you've got kids. Surely when finding another partner, would there not be an exception? They would not be accepting of that to happen. Seems women often want to keep an ex as a friend. Yeah, for me it's kind of like if I fell for the person, it's a bit of a mind F. Cause it's kind of like seeing them with someone on their arm and that used to be you. It's like, it's kind of stimulating thinking in the past a lot, like re-traumatizing something. Hats off to people who can still be friends. I can understand people who have kids, you have to. There's something you have to do for the kids. But I've, like, once a serious relationship is gone, it's like, I don't want to be friends with them. How do you lower someone who had meaning before at a higher level? I can't think of my parents in a lower hierarchy. I can't think of my siblings. I can't think of someone I loved and demote them. It's kind of like a one-way street. I don't wish them any ill. If I see them on the street, I'll talk to them and say hi, but why do I want to hang around them? Unless you started down that path and you quickly realize it's not relationship material, we should just stay friends. It's in the early stages. I could see that working, but if you've actually been in love and you've had a committed relationship, I can't see why you'd want to stay friends. What is it about them? Some people say that we were going out for a while and then we both came to the realization that we're great friends, but we were awful lovers or relationship material, which I find really odd because the basis of a good relationship is really great friends. To me, that's stupid. I don't get it. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm old-fashioned. Maybe I'm patriarchal. I don't know. I don't get it. I really don't get it. Neil, women in their 40s now actively want to settle down. Till then, it's the roulette wheel. Yeah. Yeah, I had a woman the other week, my age, telling me, yeah, I'm dating. You know, I'm happy just to, I'm not going to get into something really quickly. And I was like, yeah, it's good, sensible. But, one day I want to get married. Like, you're nearly 50. Now you want to get married. What do you do? What do you do? And they'll tell you, no, I was always open to marriage and settling down. Really? But when you listen to them talk, now they finally decided no more mucking around. When the party's over and the lights are being turned on in the club and you have to go, it's like, no. Oh, sorry. Now I'll be mature. Like, too late. Nature doesn't care. I'm not nature. Well, part of me is nature, but I'm not in charge. Our bodies aren't in charge. Men don't have the drive. Women don't have the eggs anymore. Doesn't matter how sorry you are. Patrick says, given some of the YouTube videos on same-sex relationships, will you ever talk about this weird issue? I don't have much of an problem with it. I'm just kind of off the table when it comes to kids. Like, adults can do what they want, but kids have no choice. And when they say all a kid needs is love, I don't really agree with it, because statistics show, there's a lot of data showing that something like, if you kind of believe that you're born as a homosexual, fine. If you are born that way, as Lady Gaga says, the stats kind of show that's anywhere between 12 to 12%, 12 to 8% or somewhere around then. It's not in the double digits. It's not in the sort of like big numbers, but a small percentage you're born that way, if that's what you believe. And if you're born heterosexual, mostly, then just being adopted by two dads or two mums, like what are you going to teach that kid? How is the kid going to be teased? What confusion is the kid going to go through? What learning deficiencies, because even just observing, because babies learn by observing their parental figures. You can say society needs to change, but the child is going to go through a lot. And I don't believe a child needs to suffer because of your choices. You want to be whatever you want to be in an adult relationship, fine. I support whatever relationship you want to be in. That's not the issue. Me, I don't agree with having children involved, because that's not the natural product of that relationship. I'm not being religious. I'm thinking of what the child has to go through. If you could actually get a guaranteed child that you knew was homosexual as well, and they would learn something that would be beneficial to their nature, I wouldn't have a problem. They're my thoughts. But I don't have much other than that to say about it, really. Not my bag. Don't really care too much. And I respect adults having any relationship they want to have. And fine. They can even have the right to get married if they want, and divorced. Mark Sophia, human, do you have kids? No. Not that I know of. I hope not. Yeah, chaos for you, 728. Human, we've gone from critical thinking to critical theory. Yep. Rafe B, hey human, I'm just curious, what's your opinion on Patrice O'Neill? Oh, I love the guy. The late, great Patrice O'Neill. Look him up. That guy knew male and female nature really well. Yeah, he made jokes and he pushed things to the extreme, but that guy was really switched on when it came to men and women. That's why his comedy surrounding men and women was so funny, because people laughed because it was true. Benton, hey human, lost parents at an early age, no relationship with extended family, combating feeling wanting to replace that void with a family of my own, with my disgust of how women view men. Any thoughts? At least you're switched on to recognize that. You sound like you've got your eyes open, which is really good. I'm guessing you're younger. Keep your eyes open and keep as aware as you are. Read widely, observe. All I can say is, and also surround yourself with people. In the same way, it sounds like you're switched on in the kind of people you're going to pick, the kind of person you want to pick as a potential mate. Be that switched on about the people you surround yourself with your friends, the people you allow into your personal life. But it sounds like you're on the right track. By your words, it sounds like keep doing what you're doing. Keep your eyes open and get people to earn your trust. But it sounds like you got your head screwed on. Stay frosty, as Hicks would say. Yeah, it's funny, for all the fun people make of religious people. I think they got a better chance of happy families. Because a lot of people want to throw away religion simply because of the divinity stories and walking on water and parting seas, which to me is, yeah, it's ridiculous. But they've got no philosophy to replace it with other than hooking up and doing what they want and indulging. You need a mature philosophy to be an adult. If you're just going to operate by a kid's philosophy of I do what I want and I go by my feelings, it's just, you just see the mess of how adults are acting today and blaming everybody but themselves. People probably need, if not religion, something like religion. They need a moral philosophy to ground their lives. And if you're not philosophically inclined, you may as well be religious. Not extremist, but religious. You need something to ground yourself. You need a moral philosophy to ground yourself. Religion used to do that for the intellectually uninterested person. Now you've got a lot of intellectually uninterested people being thrown a lot of toys and excess, and they're ODing on this culture. They're not thinking, and they're told they don't need to think. You know, here we'll hand you a new iPhone. You don't need to think. You got Netflix. You don't need to think. Neil says, all this about Christian values, they are only as good as the paper they're written on. Reality is we can't deny our carnal nature. Sure, but for the person that couldn't or wouldn't want to think, religion, that parental figure in the sky, if you don't, you know, there's a kind of, there's that gatekeeper, there's a thing not letting you get too far for your own good. If you don't have any of that, and if you're just a spurg that wants to live in excess, you can affect society in a big way, like a lot of people are affecting society in a very childish way today. Were you ever married or lived with a girl? I lived with a girl twice. Once in her place, once in mine, in my mid-30s. And the girl I actually asked to live in my place was only for a few months because her place was getting renovated. I don't have any issues because I was with her for a long time and I completely trusted her. And yes, you can never completely trust anyone. Like some guys are saying, you know, their marriage was great for 10 years and then all of a sudden it went off a cliff. There's no guarantees, but yeah, it was only for a short amount of time. What's with all the personal question without context? I've never gotten that. Like, if it's kind of like human, do you have kids because I have kids and I'm trying to figure out blah, blah, blah. But just to kind of, like, do you have kids? What color's your car? Where do you live? It's like, the point of a question is a question that's useful for you, that you're going to benefit from, you're going to learn from. That's what I think anyway. Sam says, will you ever have a partner again, or are you happy to be a single man for the rest of your life? I wouldn't say no to a relationship, but right now I'm not chasing. I have what you guys before called relationship fatigue. I'm very happy with my life, my family, and my friends, that I'm not taking any more backward steps in my life. I've done enough of that, like risking it and giving things a try and being too nice. It's like, and I don't have much drive for a relationship. I really don't see much of what a woman could give me, unless there was a woman that happened to be in my life. Like I said, I'm not chasing, so the likelihood is not that great anymore. But if you're not chasing, and women don't care if you don't chase, the likelihood is there's not much of a chance I'm really going to be in another relationship, but I wouldn't say no to it though, with the right person. MPD says, women seem to be dressing in an incredibly provocative manner, participating in all sorts of sexual arms race with each other for the attention of men. How much further will this go? No idea. As TFM said, this train has no brakes. CK, women control a relationship. That's the default. That's nature. That's a lot of men today believing in that script. Your happiness comes in realizing that they don't. It's a relationship. It's a relationship is a two-way thing. The sooner men realize that two people are in a relationship, the better. Men are just grateful to be in a relationship. It's like this relationship is a thing and I'm grateful to be in it and it's hers. It's like, no, it doesn't exist without you. You know, take some pride in your relationship. She should too, but it's not hers. A lot of guys are too grateful just to be in her relationship, in a relationship. No, it's yours. In the same way, this is your life. This is my house. No one's going to tell me my rules. I have a say. I have a say to say whatever I want and speak up. I'm not in her house. It's not like you're in someone's house. It's like, I've got to be respectful. I take my shoes off. These are their rules. I'm grateful to be invited. No, this is my house too. I don't just get the shed in the back. Hit the like button, gentlemen, as Alex says. Yes, thank you. Hit the like button. Hit subscribe. Hadrian's Wall. What's your educational background? Nothing to do with literature or anything like that. Mine's basically design and art. Although I am getting into sound design a lot lately. I really find it interesting. Paragon Arcadia. Hey human, I have been looking more into the esoteric since I lost interest in the materialistic. Listening to people like Muji and Watts has helped. What have you ever looked into the esoteric? A little bit. If you're interested in that, check out Quasimandias' channel. I've had a couple of chats with him. He talks a lot in the esoteric realm. If you're interested in that, so I'd recommend him. Go give him some love and subscribe to his channel. Help him grow because his message needs to get out too. I really like the take on what he talks about. Spence, question, what do you think about the state of the Manosphere? Thanks for your contribution. It's so dispersed and varied now, I don't know what to sort of think. I know the people that I like listening to and talking to when I talk with. So it's more what the Manosphere used to be 5 to 8 years ago. But now it's very balkanized, it's very separated. There's different factions, so it's really diverse. There's no one way to look at it. There used to be more cooperation and cross-pollination. Now it's very separate from what I see. Before it used to be, it's kind of like we were all car manufacturers. You know, one was Toyota, one was Jaguar, one was like Mercedes. Now it's the Manosphere is kind of like, you know, you make cars, I make soap, I make clothes, I do food. They're very, very different. Shadow Ghost, thank you for the donation. His question is coming good from nihilism a good thing? Is coming good from nihilism a thing? Do you mean, is there any good that comes from nihilism? Yeah, a lot of the seeing things as they are, but not in the hopelessness. I don't think it does much benefit for you because the end's going to come anyway. Life is meaningless, but while you're here, you may as well do something with it. If life is meaningless, the liberation for me is then now I can do whatever I want. I can write my own script. If life is a blank sheet of paper, there's nothing really on it. That means I can write whatever I want. Yeah, it is meaningless in the sense that it's all going to end. But while you're here, you may as well dance. You can just sit on the chair and rot away. It'll be more painful over the long term. But enjoying it before the curtain goes down, that's about the best thing you can do. You're here. But yeah, some good things comes out of nihilism. There's a great deal of clarity in terms of reality, but then there's also the flip side, depending on the personality and how they wish to see things. There can be a lot of personal, negative, depressive kind of greyness that's not really good for anybody, especially you, the nihilists themselves, because nihilists tend to keep to themselves too. They tend to sort of just atrophy and rot away, which isn't a good thing. Mark Sophia, human, but would you like to have kids one day? No. I've never been one to never wanted kids. Just felt nothing for it. Don't hate kids. Like kids, but never wanted to be a father. Don't want them. And I know you should want them. A lot of people say, well, that's natural, but once you have kids, then you want them. Like, I should really want to either be open to it or have it sort of leaning towards kids. That's just kind of really irresponsible because I'm bringing in another life. I should be amenable to the idea of kids, or should at least be open to it. No, it's like kind of I'm just so neutral on it. It's like asking a gay guy if he wants to get into a heterosexual relationship. I don't know. I just feel neutral on that thing. Nothing against it. Mike, human, do you ever have any second thoughts about not having children? No, not really. I've always just been very calmly like, nah, not for me. I have, people in my life and a niece, and I don't know, I just never wanted my own child. It's just like a neutral feeling. It's like, no. There's not a resistance to it. It's just like a nothing. Roxanne, do you have a video that speaks about resiliency? Probably. I talk about it in various ways throughout my videos, especially, I think, look at a lot of my videos last year. I think I was a lot on ethics, values, and resiliency, maintenance, will, ethics, values, things like that. MPD, I don't think human wants to answer my question. Oh well, good stream anyway. What question? Keep repeating it, guys. Sometimes there's either it's not highlighted instead of assuming. It's like even on under my videos, sometimes people get really angry and call me names because their comment got put to the junk area, I got deleted by YouTube. It wasn't me. But they kind of go publicly and assume that I'm the one without asking me. Spec Ops Toe, bro, YouTube stopped your chat. Really? When? Periscopines, thank you for the donation. Thanks, Human. You really make our lockdown Saturday nights more enjoyable. Jake, thank you for the donation. He says, Human, I think women should not be allowed in the military at all. Nurse and secretary jobs, etc. should be separate. What do you think? A USMC veteran. I agree. I don't think women have a place because of the standard required in terms of lives. If I'm a guy in the military, if I can't rely on her to drag me if I'm wounded, to protect me sort of physically, and there are rare women that can mentally as well be able to sort of, kill an animal or someone because it's needed, even if it's hard. Those mental and physical abilities, I don't want to have to put my life on the line because I know women's limitations. Yeah, there are exceptions, but I don't want to cross my fingers, because when push comes to shove, there's more men than will step up. When push comes to shove in those situations where there's no do-over, more women will crumble. Yeah, I don't think women have any place in the military. A lot of them want to stay like, oh yeah, not on the front line, but then they stay in the cushy secretarial jobs with generals. They get promoted, while guys who are getting killed on the front line resent that. Does my stream stop, guys? Because a few people are saying that the stream stopped or gets stopped. Okay, guys, let's wrap this up. If you've got any questions, ask them. Otherwise, let's end the stream soon. Professor Doc says, did you see that Cardi B is Time Woman of the Year? Really? Society is devolving fast. Cardi B is Time's Woman of the Year. I swear they keep pushing and pushing and pushing chaos, because all they've got is people. Like, there'll be a lot of videos and attention in the comments section going, oh my God, did you hear what happened with Cardi B? She's Time Woman of the Year. Everyone's eyeballs and comments and everything, all the attention is going to be in certain areas of the social media, and they know where to advertise. Similar to my video about why they make rubbish movies, because afterwards they know where people's eyeballs are going to be discussing the trash. That's where they can advertise. It's stupid. Cardi B, Woman of the Year. MGTOW Elder Monk and Pathfinder, thank you for the donation. He says, I have too much self-respect to chase. I met a kindred spirit who is female, but there is no chasing. I will have full video of our association. Yeah. At this stage, the way the world is, either it's a two-way street or it's nothing. Sorry. Aerial Assault, thank you for the donation. He says, what's your opinion on a lot of women incorrectly attributing specific character traits almost explicitly to age? I.e., I date older guys because we tend to have X in common. I don't know. What's your opinion though? Incorrectly attributing specific character traits almost explicitly to age. There's age ranges where certain things are easier. Like, mention testosterone. men's drive and ability to want to chase or will to chase dies down after your 30s. So you can attribute those sort of things to age. But when they say, I date older guys because we tend to have X in common. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's an open question. A bit more specific, but I can't say yes or no. Because I can see situations where it'd be yes and no in different situations. Okay, unless the stream jumps, let's wrap it up, guys. If I've missed any questions, I'm sorry. I don't know what's happening with the stream. It looks fine on my end, but some of you guys said it's stopped or something. Look, it's stopped at the moment, my stream. I can't scroll anymore. I don't know what's going on. But what's the health of my stream? Oh, it says it's excellent. Anyway. Alright guys, I think we should wrap it up. There was a lot of good questions today. Thanks for chiming in. We've got a good number of people today. Mid 400s, that was a fair bit. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, the drop down, and thumbs up, all the good stuff. Support me any way you can, if you feel like it. And I'll catch you soon in a stream or in a video. See you guys. Bye.